There's no denying each entry in the Harry Potter series makes for an enjoyable read, and whilst everyone has their favourites, rarely do you hear someone say they didn't like a particular entry in the series. However, what I've noticed both online and in face-to-face conversations is the Chamber of Secrets is the story that is most commonly placed at the bottom when people rank the Harry Potter books. On a subjective and somewhat objective level, my least favourite is The Deathly Hallows, but if I was to cast aside subjectivity altogether and just focus on trying to be as objective as I can, I would also put the Chamber of Secrets at the bottom. So the purpose of this video is to dive into why I and many other people believe the Chamber of Secrets to be the worst in the series. The topic of this video is a little controversial in the sense I know there will be people who rank this book very highly in the context of the whole series. If you are one of those people, this video is more for you than anyone else. I think debate and having one's opinions challenged is really important, so I welcome your responses in the comments whether you agree with me or disagree with me, but particularly if you disagree with me, I want to know why, so please don't hold back. In the following analysis, I'm going to split my argument into three key areas: the similarity to Book 1, the dark tone, and the excessive plot conveniences, which in my eyes is definitely the biggest issue. I will focus on that point the most. But to begin with my first point, throughout my many years of reading the Harry Potter series, it has become clear the Chamber of Secrets is very similar to the Philosopher's Stone, specifically towards the end. The issue here is that by retreading old ground, the ending of the book isn't as powerful as it could be because the reader is thinking, I've seen this before. For example, in both books, Dumbledore leaves at a critical point and then he returns at the end. In both books, Harry goes into the Forbidden Forest and attains information that sets up the climax of the novel, and in both books, Harry goes underneath the school and ends up facing Voldemort on his own. By contrast, The Prisoner of Azkaban changes up the formula, so the ending of this book is fresh and therefore more impactful. The Chamber of Secrets unfortunately steals too many story beats from the Philosopher's Stone. The second main issue I have with the Chamber of Secrets is the dark tone. For the bulk of the narrative, Hogwarts is being terrorised by an unknown monster, and this understandably creates quite a chilling environment in the castle that lasts for the majority of the book. In other words, the book has a dark undercurrent that ripples throughout the story, and I would even argue that the atmosphere at Hogwarts is one of the darkest of the whole series. I should stress here that I don't think a dark tone is by default a bad thing. The issue is that the dark tone feels out of place in the Chamber of Secrets for two key reasons. Firstly, if we broaden our focus to the entirety of the series, it's clear that the books become increasingly dark. The Chamber of Secrets actually breaks the rule. In this sense, it feels out of place. Sure, when you read the book for the first time, this issue wouldn't really be a factor, but when you reread this book having read the whole series, you do notice how it breaks the pattern, given that it's darker than the book that succeeds it, The Prisoner of Azkaban. Now, if we refocus on the Chamber of Secrets alone, the second problem with this dark atmosphere is it makes some of the more juvenile, childish moments feel out of place. So, for instance, Lockhart's defense against the dark arts lessons, Ron's slug attack after his wand backfires, the card carrying Cupids on Valentine's Day, and Moaning Myrtle's frequent tantrums. They all feel strange in a narrative that is overall very dark. However, if you recall my analysis of The Half-Blood Prince, you remember how I praised the book for balancing humour with a dark story, but the difference with that book was it was much longer, so the various tones by and large transition more smoothly because there's simply more time in a longer narrative. In the Chamber of Secrets, you've got these juvenile, childish moments stacked up right alongside a generally dark atmosphere, making the transitions between the various tones feel abrupt, which in turn can make reading the Chamber of Secrets disconcerting at times. In fairness, my first 2 points were a little nitpicky. I'm not going to deny that, and it's a testament to how good these books are that I have to dig so deep to find criticism. My final point, however, is something I hope the majority will definitely agree on, which is the excessive use of plot conveniences, and the most obvious one for me revolves around the basilisk. It's hard to believe nobody saw it snooping around. It's a huge animal making its attacks in the midst of a castle full of students and teachers, and yet no one saw it. Now, you're probably thinking, but some people did see it, it's just they're the ones who got petrified. Well, that's true, but I still don't buy that no one saw it from behind, even if it was for just a second. And the whole element of people getting petrified is also a plot convenience. The basilisk kills by looking people in the eye, and yet coincidentally no one looked directly at it, except nearly Headless Nick. Again, it just seems so unlikely that all those who were attacked never looked at the basilisk directly. There are also a number of plot conveniences revolving around Tom Riddle's diary, the first of which is how it comes into Harry's possession. For those who can't remember, Harry finds the diary in Moaning Myrtle's bathroom after Ginny tried to dispose of it. It's very coincidental that 1. Ginny tried to destroy the diary in that bathroom, 2. that Harry was the first person to pick it up, and 3. that he picked it up at all. The other plot convenience in relation to the diary is the way it is destroyed. As is later revealed in the Deathly Hallows, the diary is in fact a Horcrux, and there are very few fail-safe ways to destroy a Horcrux. As such, Harry's rather random impulse to stab the diary with a basilisk fang is overly convenient. And the third area of plot conveniences is the flying Ford Anglia. For instance, towards the start of the book, when Harry and the Weasleys arrive at King's Cross, it's pretty coincidental that Harry and Ron are the last two to go through the barrier. Had Mr. and Mrs. Weasley decided to go with Ginny after Harry and Ron, then they too would have seen how the barrier was refusing to let them through, and presumably they would have done something about it, which in turn would have meant Harry and Ron wouldn't have used the car to fly to Hogwarts. Finally, it's very lucky how Harry and Ron are saved in the Forbidden Forest by the Ford Anglia right in the nick of time. This is just way too convenient. It's almost like the car has its own consciousness, and yet this is never really explained. So there we have it. Those are the reasons why I believe The Chamber of Secrets to be the worst book in the series. Like most people though, I still really enjoy this book for something about Harry Potter that makes these stories irresistibly fun to read, even when they're at their worst. Please do let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Either way, I want to hear about it. Other than that, it's goodbye from me until next time.